Hi, today we're going to be reading the book Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. This book is by the author Judith Viorst and is illustrated by Ray Cruz. Before we read about Alexander and his terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, there's something you should know. This is a globe. A globe is a small model of the earth on a sphere. A globe shows what the world looks like. This is the United States of America. It's the country where I, the reader of this story, live. It's also the country where Judith Viorst, the author of this story, lives. And the United States of America is the country where the main character in this story, Alexander, lives. You'll hear Alexander say several times during his terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day that he wants to move somewhere else. I'd like to show you where that somewhere else is. This is the picture of the whole world. This orange country is the United States of America, where Alexander lives. And where he wants to go is all the way across this ocean, all the way across the continent of Africa, all the way across the continent of Asia, and all the way down here on the other hemisphere. He wants to move to Australia. At the end of this book, I'll ask you what you think Alexander should do. If you think he ought to try to make a better day tomorrow in the United States of America, or if you think Alexander should go ahead and move to Australia. I hope you enjoy this story about Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. The dedication of this book is from the author Judith Viorst, and she dedicates this book to Robert Lesher with love and thanks. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running. And I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. For breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a Junior Undercover Agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window, too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be carsick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, She said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend, and that Albert Mayo was his next best friend, and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off and the cone part lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? Whose mother do you think forgot to put in dessert? Alexander's mom, that's who. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everyone. And no one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but the shoe man said, "We're all sold out." They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was as careful as I could be, except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with the phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad pajamas. I hate my railroad pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a miserable, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that. Even in Australia. So now that you've heard about Alexander's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, do you think that Alexander should move to Australia? Or do you think he should stick it out with his family in the United States of America? What would you do if you were Alexander? I hope you'll stay with your family wherever your family is. And I hope that you enjoyed the book about Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.